Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches a todos. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Welcome back to the Nerdy Muse. My name is Andy. Today, we'll be talking about my secret reading project for the rest of the year. So I have a small confession to make. I've never read any of Stephen King's novels. I know, mea culpa. And I have plenty of those. Now, have I seen Stephen King's movies? Yes, I have. Carrie, Pet Sematary, Misery, Cujo, It, but the older version. You will not catch me dead watching the newer one. I can't handle that one. The Shining, The Stand, Rose Red. I think it's Rose Red. Red Rose? Rose Red? It was a miniseries. I forgot what it was called. One of those two. And I think that's about it. But I've never actually read any of his books. So I was thinking to myself, what can we do interesting for the rest of this year? And I figured, let's delve into Stephen King. And what better way to do that than into his magnum opus, the Dark Tower series. Now, if you're not familiar with his Dark Tower series, it is a set of 8 novels and a short story that's based on or inspired by Robert Browning's poem, Child Rolling to the Dark Tower Came. So I was thinking, yeah, I can do that. 8 novels and a short story. Why not? So there is a booktuber by the name of Jimmy Mango who is a huge Stephen King fan. I would go so far to say Stephen King scholar, really. And he has a video on his channel that talks about how to delve into the Dark Tower series on an extended journey. So not only is it the is it the 8 novels and the short story of the series, but some extra twists and turns through some of Stephen King's other novels, because pretty much the majority of his novels share the same cosmos or universe. So this extended version is 27 books long, including you have to read the first book of the Dark Tower series called The Gunslinger again at the end. I believe I have that right. Something like that. So I thought, you know what? I like this idea because I'm the masochist when it comes. I'm the one that likes to read the book before watching the movie, and if there's like an extended version of the book or movie, I'd rather do that one than the edited one. I'm that kind of a guy. So I'm like, that's what I'm doing. I'm a masochist, bring it on. Plus, it kind of takes me to some of his other novels, so it breaks up the Dark Tower kind of monotony, but it also gives me a chance to flavor some of his other novels at the same time, and it all fitting together. So I thought that was going to be great. But I'm not going to do that until September. I will start the Dark Tower series in September, and I'm going to give myself through December to get it done. That should be enough time. August is my birthday month. So I figured, let's go back to my literary roots. BA and MA are in English here. Concentration was medieval lit. And I am going to focus on the inspirations for Stephen King's Dark Tower series. Now, in the prologue to The Gunslinger, I think the first edition or something at some point, Stephen King mentioned the following as his inspirations. Lord of the Rings, Arthurian Legends, Child Rolling to the Dark Tower Came by Robert Browning, and 2 movies. I'll go into the movies here in a bit. Let's start with the reading portion. So obviously, the main inspiration is the poem by Robert Browning, which I will read from this collection here. Trying to find it in here is kind of a little difficult right now, but trust me, it's in here. I checked before. It's not that long. I've read this before, I've read Lord of the Rings before, I've read the Arthurian Legends before, so none of the reading here is brand new to me. I've done it. But I figured, it's been a while, let's go back to the inspirational stories. Let's see if I can piece things together, piece images, themes, symbols, ideas, because I like to do that kind of stuff. And then when I get into the Dark Tower series, start to make all the connections that the English teacher in me just loves to do. So, Child Rolling to the Dark Tower Came by Robert Browning, I will read from here. Second inspiration he had was The Lord of the Rings. Now, I read The Lord of the Rings every year. I haven't read it yet, so this is a great opportunity to knock out two birds with one stone, right? I'll get it done for the year and do it as part of the inspirational reading. I know, old copy. What are you doing with all the books in one volume like that? That's mortal sin. Yes, I know. The problem is trying to find gorgeous versions of Lord of the Rings that either I like, are available, or won't cost me every organ in my body. It's kind of difficult, at least right now. So I'm just sticking with the tried and true old version I had a long time ago when I was still living in Texas and going to school. So I will reread The Lord of the Rings. He also mentions the Arthurian legends. I love the Arthurian legends. That was my bread and butter when I was getting my master's degree. So I am going to read Le Morte d'Arthur in Middle English, because I'm that guy, by Sir Thomas Malory. This is the version of the Arthurian legends that most people are familiar with. It's what all the movies and programs about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table are actually based off. So this has the majority of the Arthurian legends, but there are two others I want to read as well. One is The Quest for the Holy Grail. That is in here in Middle English. If by that point my brain is fried and I'm like, if I don't read this in modern English right now, I'm going to hurt somebody, I'm just going to go ahead and read that from the Lancelot Grail reader here. Exact same story, just present day English. The second Arthurian or extra Arthurian story I want to read is Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. That one I'm going to go ahead and read from this collection here. It's not long at all, and I love the story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And in this translation, I do have it in Middle English, but I actually want to get this reading done in August, so I'm just going to read this one in the translated version. This translation is done by J.R.R. Tolkien, actually, and I checked it against a few other translations I have because nerd, and this is a good one. And it's really not that long. I mean, it's just that much of the book, so easy enough to do. And it'll be nice to go back and reread these old romances again. The medieval romances were what really got me interested in lit from really little. Not that I read the Arthurian legends or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't that great of a reader starting out. But my dad and my mom would always read those to me, and then I'd always watch the movies, and I always just loved the idea of knights in shining armor. In fact, the idea of guys in uniforms just always got me growing up. Gay guy, what do you want, right? Which actually now brings me to the two movies that inspired Stephen King, and they are two westerns, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and Man with No Name. Now, I never gelled with the western tradition or genre, ever, especially growing up. Mom and Dad were always watching westerns when I was little. I'm talking the westerns from the 50s and 60s, Bonanza, Big Valley, Gunsmoke, Lone Ranger, Zorro. There were quite a few that were everywhere that I was always watching. But always got me were men in uniform, just young gay boy's wet dream. What do you want, right? It's just the truth. But I never really gelled with them because the stories, the subtext of all Western stories, let's just be honest, is if you're a real man, you swagger around with a weapon on your side and you go around killing people and shooting people and saving damsels in distress. Going back to medieval romances, right? What do we have? Knights, where men in uniform with weapons on their side riding off to save the damsel in distress. It's just a modern version of it. But there was just so much more of this machismo attached to the Western genre. It just always turned me off. Well, I'm going to watch two of them this time. So let's see how that goes. I'm not going to do movie reactions here. I don't want copyrights against my channel. And knowing me, I'm not going to edit them right and I'll get copyrighted and there goes all that problem. So I'm not going to do that. But I will do some vlogs after I watch them to talk about my reactions to them. What I think Stephen King may be pulling from there. Again, I haven't read the first book of the Dark Tower series, which is actually called The Gunslinger So I'm assuming the Westerns have an impact on there. But I have no idea what the story's about yet. So I don't know what he's pulling from specifically those two movies that's going to be in here. I do know he specifically mentions Clint Eastwood in A Man with No Name. So I'm assuming it has to do with the way the character is written, developed, or just characterized, period. That might play a part here. I'll take notes on that while I'm watching the movie, and we'll see. So I will do that in August. However, to kind of break up the monotony of all this pretty much academic work I'm giving myself, there are a few other novels I may want to read, just kind of, again, break that up and just have some fun. So one of those, which I don't have yet, I should get that today, I got from another booktuber, Reading with Matthew. I'll have a link to his channel below. Normally, he has never led me wrong with his recommendations before, but he's a big rom-com guy. I'm not, but I feel like a rom-com this time. So one of his favorites is The Charm Offensive. I don't remember who the author is. Give me a second. Okay, it's by Alison Cochrane. So it's about, I don't know any of the characters' names. I don't have it in front of me. So all I remember, it's almost like a Bachelor kind of TV series, and one guy's a producer or something on the series, and the other guy is the actual Bachelor or the Bachelor equivalent. And apparently he's awkward, doesn't do well on camera, and none of the women like him. So the producer is kind of set or ordered to kind of work with him to get him camera ready and show ready and woman ready, I guess. But the two hit it off instead and become a thing. So he likes it. I'm going to take his word for it. A couple of others I've got on my TBR that I could read during the month. Not that I will, but I could. The first one is The Magpie Lord, which is the first book of The Charm of Magpies by K.J. Charles. This, I think, is set in Victorian England or somewhere close to Victorian England. Actually, if you look at the characters on there, it looks like they're dressed from Victorian England. But this is a queer romance, a mystery, a queer romance mystery. Actually, let's try this again. It's a queer romance historical mystery. It's the first book of a trilogy. You know, it's a quick read, it looks like. There's some smut in there. Why not? It's my birthday month. Let's indulge a little bit. Another one that I could read is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This has been on everybody's they love it list, and every booktuber you find, every person you find that loves to read that has read it, loves it. I don't think anyone hates it. So that bodes well for me. It's supposed to be some kind of a queer romance somewhere in here. I'm not sure, but even if it's not, it doesn't really matter. Again, if everybody loves it, let me jump on the bandwagon and see what I think about it. I know nothing about it. It looks like there's a reclusive Hollywood icon by the name of Evelyn Hugo who actually wants to talk about her glamorous and scandalous life. And she brings in an unknown magazine reporter called Monique Grant to write her story. And it's pretty much going through Evelyn Hugo's life and apparently all her many husbands. So, scandalous? Why not? Another one I really want to read is book 3 of Kevin Hearn's The Iron Druid Chronicles called Hammered. I've read the first 2, really liked the first one. The second one was good. You know what they say about second novels. Sometimes they kind of miss the mark a little bit. Kevin Hearn did a good job with it. I just thought it was way too packed for a book 2. Like he was trying to ram a whole bunch of different things in there that he didn't have to. He could have spaced them out, I think. But anyway, whatever. It was still good. So book 3 here, when the naysayers say, "Nay, don't mess with the man who wields the lightning bolts," probably talking about Thor, 99 times out of 100, the ancient druid Atticus O'Sullivan would nod along and agree. But when multiple people convince him that Thor, the Norse god of thunder, needs to get got, he thinks maybe this is the one time he should ignore the advice of the wise, even if those sages include deities who tend not to be wrong about very much. Because Thor has undeniably done somebody wrong, and actually if you read the first 2 books, Thor is like this off-screen antagonist that everybody wants dead. Apparently he's a jerk. I guess he's going to get his comeuppance now. Many somebodies, in fact, and Atticus doesn't think he can simply dismiss it as someone else's problem. Plus, he has made promises that he doesn't feel he can break. Promises that will take him away from Midgard to the plains of the Norse, where his actions will create ripples throughout the 9 realms. On top of that, there's a vampire turf war brewing, a zealous group of mystic hunters called the Hammers of God running rampant, and a pack of werewolves who very much don't wish to see their leader taken off to Valhalla. In order to avoid being the nail underneath Thor's hammer, Atticus will need every ounce of Irish luck he can muster, and maybe the help of a few deities in his corner. So Kevin Hearn has not let me down yet with his novels. I'm laughing on my way through, so this will probably be at the top of the list to read if I need a break from the other more scholarly reading I'm doing. And the fourth option for a TBR for August is The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawken. The protagonist here is Carolyn, who lives in an infinite library, who studies at the feet of some great being who might or might not be God. And then there's Steve, who's just run-of-the-mill guy who somehow meets Carolyn. She has like $327,000, a pair of red galoshes, and a tempting offer. And soon he finds himself swept up in a war waged on a scale he can barely comprehend as powerful forces battle for control of the library and the future of the universe itself. So another cosmic battle? Why not, right? Sounds like fun. So that's going to be my work for August. You know, some fun, mostly the inspiration for the Dark Tower series. Starting in August, I will start the Dark Tower series. I am not going to talk about, at least not right now, what that order is going to go in, how many I'm going to read in in September, then October, and then November, and then maybe even December. I strongly encourage you guys to look at the link in the description to Jimmy Mango's channel, to his video, so you can see exactly the order he has set up and why he has it set up that way. It's a really interesting video, and if you want to get into this extended journey to the Dark Tower, I strongly encourage you to watch that video, take some notes, and then get the novels yourself, or just get the original 8 and stick with that. According to him, that works just as well. So everyone, thank you so much for staying with me so far. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a great rest of your day or week. Heck, make it the rest of the year in case I don't see you again. So until next time I do see you, stay safe, stay cool, keep reading, and I'll see you next time. Adios.